you don't need to change who you are because there's nothing wrong about you. Just change the people around you. Because sometimes people always say that, it's like, I need to be accepted, or I need to be validated, or I need people to love me. People will love you for who you are. You just need to find those people.
I love that. Yes, yes. Find your tribe.
Yeah, exactly,
Yes.
right?
Marami pong salamat sa inyong pagpapanood sa amin dito sa Sojanel, kung saan naghahatid kami ng mga kwento ng immigration and representation every week here on the show. Happy Sunday if you're watching on TFC, happy Saturday if you're watching on ANC, and happy Monday if you're watching on KXLA Channel 44. We are also available on I Want TFC on demand, and we are always on our social media platforms at Sojanel TV on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Talking this afternoon to Veejay Floresca. I love it when we have both immigration and representation on the show, because you are that. You are at that intersection because you migrated here from the Philippines, and you're also representing well here. If you missed our first segment, she is going to be featured in Dress My Tour, which is a new reality show airing on Hulu on July 23rd. But Veejay, talk to us naman about your immigration journey.
So I was born and raised in the Philippines, and I moved to the United States 2012. So the reason why I moved to the United States was really to finish my grad school. It was an opportunity for me to learn more things, and at the same time, like to be honest, it was really like an excuse for me to stay longer out of the country. Because, as a part of the LGBTQIA community, living my truth in the Philippines versus living my truth here in the United States, it's completely different experience.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, like here in the United States, I feel more accepted than in the Philippines. And I really feel bad, especially talking about this, because this is something that I can relate to. This is something that is very special to me, because not everyone gets that opportunity, to live the American dream. And in the Philippines, we don't have laws that protect the rights of my community, compared here in the United States, where pretty much we're living as if we're not excluded in the community. We have healthcare. I am officially female in my passport, in my driver's license. My name is completely changed to what I want it to be. I can get hormones, from the hospitals. And this is
marriage.
Exactly, marriage, right? And this is something that I cannot do if I am still in the Philippines. So that is one of the reasons why I moved here to the United States, yeah.
Although we do face, Veejay, some form of hate pa din, right? So Janelle Show Productions is a proud partner of the California State Library in their ethnic media grants that address this hate, especially in California. Veejay, for you, have you experienced here also in America?
Yes.
Discrimination, hate?
I've experienced discrimination here in America. That's the reality. And I think one of the things that, a lot of the people who are part of my community, especially being a trans woman, hate comes from people who are not knowledgeable about who we are. That's why these kind of shows are really helpful, because it allows us to tell our stories, to tell people that we are pretty much similar as anybody else.
Yes.
We want to live our life the way we want it to be. We're just being authentic to who we are, and there's not a big difference. My gender identity is not a big deal, and it shouldn't be a big deal. Right. So yeah.
And you're dealing with two things as well, because you are Asian.
Yes.
And then you are transgender.
Exactly.
So those two things, and I'm sure you get it from both sides.
Yes.
Which one's worse? If you talk about it, I know you mentioned you've experienced discrimination. Was it more discriminated against because you're Asian, or discriminated against because you're trans?
It's more of like being trans, to be honest. Like, for example, like when I go out in a bar, or when I go out, like having a drink.
What do you get?
Like sometimes it's not always safe to disclose who you are.
Got it.
Sometimes, even though, like, for example, when a guy approaches me and then, buys me a drink, like, or flirt with me, of course, like, you get that sense of validation, but at the same time, you also get that sense of, like, does he know? Or
Right.
should I tell him?
Right.
And I've experienced both, where I already told the guy that I need to share to you that I'm trans, and it's either they will say, oh, really? It's fine with me.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they would say, oh, it's not for me. But
Okay.
sometimes there's danger in that too, because you never know if you're dealing with transphobic. And the worst thing that could happen is that, that person can technically, like,
Pretend that it's okay with him.
yeah, or put you in danger,
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so
Okay.
like it's hard.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, what I always tell my sisters is that you really need to embrace who you are, because you cannot always live with fear. I always believe in the saying that how can I expect others to accept me if I cannot accept myself first?
But at what point also did you accept yourself for who you are in the Philippines?
You know what? Like in the Philippines, I was living myself as a gay boy. And being a gay boy and being a trans woman are two different things, like two different things. And when I was in the Philippines, I wasn't really aware about being a trans woman, Like I didn't know how to explore my femininity, my womanhood, because in the Philippines, like we don't have a lot of representation. But when I moved here to the United States of America, then I became more and more aware about who I am. So actually, I transitioned here in the United States.
it.
So when I was still, studying fashion design and finishing my grad school, that was the time when I told myself that this is really who I am. So I told all of my classmates that, this is the last time that you're gonna see me as a guy, because next semester, you're gonna see me as a woman.
Right.
And they were like very, very supportive. Yeah, of course, VJ, you can do whatever you want. And then the next term, day one, I was already presenting myself as a woman.
Wow.
I was wearing a wig.
Uh-huh.
So because my hair was still too short that
Right.
time, so I was wearing a wig. And, like the amount of joy
Yes.
from that moment was like, to me, worth it.
Right.
Right. Because it's worth it.
That must have been so liberating
Yeah.
for you. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that when we return on the show. Don't go away.